The PDU has failed President Ruto. It has failed President Ruto. Kabisa, kabisa. Is it called tremendously? What is PDU? PDU is a department within the presidency that is called Presidential Delivery Unit. The head of PDU is of the same rank as the head of department. Head of the civil service. He is of the same rank with the controller of State House. Now, PDU is a department that deals with what the president delivers, presidential delivery. They are supposed to have it in simple languages, a list of things. A list of things, A, B, C, D. Then they are supposed to have on that list what the president should do, what he has done, and by what he has done, column 1 is what the president should do. Column 2, what he has done. I'm imagining that they can talk of, let's say, a factory in Kabrengu. They say the president is supposed to construct a factory in Kabrengu doing ABCD. Then section 2 says, has this factory been done? The answer could be, it has not been done. 0. Or it has been done 100%. Awaiting. You see, any item on the PDU is supposed to die on the day that something is completed. For example, if it is to start a factory in Kabrengu, the day that the factory starts working, then that is the day that they should delete the item from their list. But if the factory is not up and working, they have to indicate, is it 0%? Is it 1%? 2, 3, 97, 98, 99%. It's supposed to be at their fingertips. And then, if it is not fully working, they should also find out why it is not working. And they should be the ones to remind the president of what he's supposed to. There is his diary keepers as far as when it comes to talking about when it comes to dealing with the things that the president has promised. They have regular meetings with the president, and it is their duty to tell him or her that Mheshimiwa, these are the things that you promised, and this one and whatever. And then the president would say, okay, it is 97. Why is it not making to 99 or 100? Then the presidential delivery unit will answer, and then the president will have to ask, so that before people like Morara starts going around pinpointing those things, the PDU are the ones who are. In fact, someone should employ Morara to the PDU, so that the PDU are the ones who are supposed to go around the country, identifying projects that are partly completed or not even started. And then they would come back to the president and tell him that here and there you are supposed to do this. Who are the people who are supposed to be in PDU? PDU is supposed to be headed, and there is a figurehead, but he or she has to be assisted by people who are specialists in various forms. By this I mean, we should have economists, we should have lawyers, we should have anything, ABCD. It is not just President Ruto, but President Kibaki, President Uhuru, and now Ruto. They have been having very useless PDUs. It is an embarrassment for a very simple person going to court to challenge something that the president is doing and the court upholds. I'm not even talking of the whole government. In fact, the whole government should even have its own delivery units. But today we are talking about the president. It is quite embarrassing for the president to do something and somebody rushes to the courts to stop it or to interfere with it. The president is supposed to have advisors in all fields. The president is supposed to have an advisor on law to tell him the legal implications of what he's doing. The president is also supposed to have an economist to tell him. You see, it is quite embarrassing, and I can say it, that you don't have to scratch your head so much. If you just look aside for 2 to 3 seconds, you'll remember a number of projects where the president starts and they are forgotten, and even the president comes back to the same place and whatever. It is now this is the failure of the PDU. The PDU has, if it is a road from point 8 from Luandeti to Kabrengu, the PDU should have a road engineer who should, even before the president mentions it, he should come out and say the cost effect is this. The road from Kabrengu to Luandeti is so much, and then an economic advisor would say this money, because this is a road engineer who says that the road will use bitumen standard, whatever, blah 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 blah, and it will cost 7 billion shillings. Before even the president mentions it, then the economist in PDU will have to talk on how the coffers are. You see, our country, we have I don't think we can raise that money to build that road and whatever, so that before the road is even before the president comments or anything, it has already been estimated that the road will be so. I'm talking of only the road, but various things. It will cost so much, and the money will come from point A and B. And then there is the time limit. The president says this today, tomorrow we are supposed to. So when he talks, already the money should have been set aside. The fundis are just hiding somewhere around the second or third corner, so that immediately the president completes saying so, then you find that immediately the president finishes saying so, then you find these people starting the work immediately. But you find that this thing does not happen. We also should even have among the PDU, we should even have intelligence officers, NIS. Because NIS people are the ones who are supposed to tell the president on his pronunciation, his activities, his talkings and whatever, the implication that it will have on people, especially for a president who expects to contest in the second term. So these intelligence officers would say this will mean this, because if you construct a road, 2 to 3 roads in one area, the north of the country, at the south you don't construct, the intelligence are supposed to tell the president that this is the repercussion and whatever, so that the president does what he has. We never had the PDU during Moi's time, to the best of my knowledge. I think PDU started with Kibaki and so on. But you see, Moi I find it hard to praise that man. Moi used to do this. He used to promise something and it happens. And that is why you can even find in KO area, roads used to be built there. And the goats used to bask on sunshine there. Or even some farmers would even use that to dry their cereal. So and then Kibaki came. And these people are supposed to be people who would tell the president. You see, one thing, if you are an advisor of the president in any department, and advisor even mean up to cabinet ministers, cabinet secretary. If you work for the president, know that anything going wrong, you are the sacrificial lamb. You remember that Kibaki made a mistake of appointing Murungaru. He was called Murungaru. Of appointing Chris Murungaru as appointing him. And then when things got hot on Murungaru, he said, no, you see, a minister of state in the office of the president is like an assistant minister. No? If you are working for the president or anything, you can advise the president to go left and he goes right. You can even insist and even get annoyed and even behave in a way that you are not even supposed to behave before your boss, because you know that he's taking a suicidal move by going to the other direction that you have advised him not to go. But when things get hot, the president will just say that I was not advised or the advisors were bad, and you will be the sacrificial lamb. This one I say like somebody who has attended a VIP protection course. In a VIP protection course, you are told when you see somebody wanting to shoot the president, you go and it is, you have no time to shoot that person back. You go and stand between the president and him so that it is you who is shot. So you may advise them, if you are working for PDU or any other section, you may advise the president, and the president may not do it, but when things get hot, it is you to turn back. And even in some occasions, you may even call a press conference to apologize to people for having forgotten to advise the president when you advised him and he did not follow. So the PDU is supposed to go sit down with the president, tell him. And these things are coming up from very senior people. For example, I just want to give 2 examples. There are many. I know of 20. There is a time Archbishop Olesepit who went public. He said that it is high time for the president to call a press conference and say that, yes, we promised you this and this and that and that, but after entering the office, we have discovered that we cannot do ABCD. Kenyans, and you know, leaders take risky moves when they are assured of election or re-election. So it is good for the president to come out clean and just tell us the truth, as Olesepit said. You know, when you are approaching election, all candidates come out with stories, all of them. Like if you are not employed, the government will be giving you 6,000 per month out of whatever, and yet we don't have 1,000 oil wells. So when you reach there, and also there is even an occasion recently when Oparanya talked, I think on 3 occasions, he said that his perception of how the government works has differed, because when he was out there, he used to think ABCD. Now that he has seen the files from the office, he has seen it differently. Now, if we have to follow what Oparanya is saying, we could say that candidate Ruto, when he was campaigning, he promised a lot of things without knowing how the position is, or he did that in order to win people. Because if you are to go to a political campaign and talk the truth from A to Z, even if you are the best candidate, surely you will not win. So Ole Sapit said that the president should come out and tell people that now I am here. I have noticed that ABCD I promised, I cannot fully or partly complete the way I had promised. That one came from Ole Sapit. Then recently, I think last week, the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, called a meeting. And I think this was in reaction to Morara's exposure. And he said that when the way the government works is that if the president talks, that becomes a government policy. So it is upon the civil servants who work in the government now to fulfill what the president has done. And you see, Kenyans are very understanding people. You promise Kenyans something, they don't compel you to do the whole thing. They want you to do over 50%. And most importantly, they want to see you trying to they want to see you trying to do it. But then when you go to a place, and this is people have been saying that I'm pro-root or anything. No, if I would have been pro-root or anything, or if I would have had connection, I would have talked to the president direct. But I hope he watches my videos, or I hope those who advise him watch my videos. But most importantly, I'm talking to the PDU. Kindly tell the president this. 1, the first 2 years should be the years of identifying things to do. Yeah, we will do this here, we will do this here, we will do this here, and we will do this here. Those are the first 2 years. Kindly advise the president that for the next 2 years, the PDU should sit down and start implementing what has been promised as of now. Yeah, the first 2 years, let it be that I will do this, I will do that, I will do this, I will do that. Then the next 2 years should be just take a pen and paper, write down the things that the government or the president has promised people. Write all of them, A to Z. Then start looking, how many have you done? You should go out to those projects that Morara has shown, and even other projects that he may not have reached. Reach there. And I'm talking specifically of those projects that the president himself has pronounced himself. Says this road from here, this road to from here should be tarmacked or should be done. This factory should. Sit down, burn your midnight oil, look at the things that he has been saying. I remember one time when I was in Mandera that somebody, by then Kanu was Baba na Mama, somebody would stand before the president and say something that this is what is going to happen. He's the Kanu chairman. And then when he sits down, he forgets it. That's how politicians are. And it would be the duty of the Mandera DC, John Ole Mosiani. John Ole Mosiani would now go ahead and implement those things that the chairman of Kanu had. In fact, Ole Mosiani would be hearing it for the first time when we were there. So PDU, the president can say something. Maybe, but most likely, because he's a politician. You know, politicians, when they see the crowd, they talk of something. And if you record it on video and take it to him, he'd say that maybe that video is edited. So I would ask you, the PDU, to sit down and review everything that the president has pronounced himself. Then start working on that. I would advise, if I had access to the president, I would advise the president that for the next 2 years, he should go back to the projects he has been launching to see the level of, we have a few cases. We have a few cases where he goes to relaunch what he had launched before. But the next 2 years should be going back to where he had promised everything, to make a follow-up, to see what became of that. If it is a project that is 10%, and I've worked in the civil service, even if the president doesn't come and just declares that I'll be coming to Bungoma on such and such a day, where Kandui Stadium had reached, they'll start hastening it up so that when it was 20, it will reach 25%. Then another time, whatever even if it increases by 1%, imeongezeka. So I think these 2 years should be, let us not say tumetenga hii barabara yekwe lami ya mneno. It should be now what we have done. You remember I came here 2 years ago, yes, and I said whatever. I have to come to see what I said. I think if the president watches my video, or if there is anybody with access to the president, or even to the PDU, kindly let it be that no new projects to be launched or anything. But we have to go back to those projects that we launched to see. We don't need for the project to be 100% completed or anything. But if the 100% completed, well and fair. So that we go back and see. We go back and see how they have fared on and whatever, and then we push that one. So that it is better to have 10 projects that are over 75% or through than have 1,000 projects which are not even 50% through. The other thing that I've noticed that is embarrassing to the president is I don't really know. I have never met him in person. But when you see things being the way they are now, it speaks of two things. Either the president advises the advisors. You heard me properly. Either the president advises the advisors. That is what I said. Or when the advisors advise the president, he doesn't follow. He follows whatever he has decided. Why am I saying this? There are some very embarrassing things that are happening to this president. That if we had that, okay, one of the advisors, hey, bwana, mnasema mimi nimenona. Yeah, nimenona, nyinyi ndio mnatuma vitu kwa nini? Till number. Hizo ndio ninanonea. And I'm proud of that. Kwanza tumeni ndio ninone kabisa. But then one of the advisors to the president, amenona until I think he should visit the gym. But this is the thing. There are some things that are happening to our president that are really embarrassing him. They are really embarrassing him. First of all, where did we get to a point where the universities wrote letters to they are called freshmen. Freshmen are those people who are now joining universities. Where did it come to an extent that the universities, of all public universities wrote to parents telling them that they are going to pay the whole amount. The cheapest degree is 300,000. Now, I don't want to talk of how students face problems in the university, especially first years. But I want to say, do we have any parent in Kenya who can afford 300,000 per year? And you see, last year, Last year, the president had brought in this band system. Where did this? You see, what happens is that hata yule sub chief huyo hapo chini akimes, we say root the president, let me not use the word root, hata assistant chief akimes hapo chini, we just go there and say the president has messed, because the assistant chief is the representative of the president. I'm just wondering, and this thing, okay, how many public universities do you have in Kenya? Nowadays, we have every place a public university. I think I'm going to be a vice chancellor of Kabrengu University. Now, all the vice chancellors of the universities wrote at the same time, wrote a letter to all students who are joining first year in the universities and told them that you're going to pay full fees. And I've just said that the cheapest degree in Kenya is 300 per year. The letters had to go. The letters had to be withdrawn. And the letters were said, no. Actually, last year we had 4 bands. They increased the bands to 5. Who decreased the 5? You see, if you look at last year's freshmen, yes, we had cases, and I even remember there's this case of Kisii University, where a student, and I've talked to 2 or 3 students of Kisii University, they don't appear to remember that student. I hope he's a genuine student. There is a student who was on social media that he would wait until other students had cleared they had cleared with the lectures, and then he would sleep there without a mattress, with just a blanket, and a till number was given out, and he was given money for renting a hostel and food and everything. Now you want to tell me that student, and when I say the cheapest degree is 300,000, that is the cheapest. You have not talked about master of surgery and whatever. That one goes to 500. Now, for somebody who wants to be a doctor, at first they were told you are to pay the 500 per year. Now for 6 years, because they go for 6 years, that is 3 million shillings. Which parent can do that? Now, there is a saying that, my grandfather, my Kikuyu grandfather, even on his grave it is written, why should you change something that is working? Something that is working should not be disturbed. That is basically what is my grandfather used to like to say. The bands of last year were working. We only had students who were having problems with accommodation and food. Now you have come out with another 5 bands, and the letters that were sent to students in the universities was very simple. That we changed last year's system because the government cannot afford to pay. The government cannot afford to pay for all students all the time. And to kindly understand that because of the massive increase in student population, we are now whatever. And kids, kids who are in band 1 were around 50,000 kids. These are kids who had multiple problems. These are kids who had, with mostly both parents. Full orphan. Full orphan is one who has lost both parents, or half orphan who has lost one parent. We have even those PWD. Either the parent is a person living with disability, or the student is living with disability, or both such, parent with disability and student with a disability. These are the ones who are placed in band 1. Band 2 and 3, people are very comfortable with that. And band 4 was for the buenyenyes. Now, what people have done, after telling the students that you'll pay, You see, the thing is, the government wants to collect billions in form of fees, but hawajui vile watafanya. That is why they are coming and saying, okay, from now you pay everything. Then from there, students wanasema right, nini hapana. We have brought in 5 bands. And the 5 bands they have brought, the first one is for full, what do you call, complete orphans or people with disability, especially. Either the parent is a person living with disability or the student is living with disability, or both such that the parent is with a disability and the student is with disability. Those ones straight to band 1. Now everybody has been pushed to band 3, to the band 4 and band 5. The band 4 of last year is retained, and they brought in band 5, which is more punitive than band 4. And these students, they ask each other throughout the university. They don't hide each other. There is nobody in band 1, and nobody is in band 2, and nobody is in band 3. The question comes, does it mean that the government has banned band 1, 2, and 3? Now, I know of a student who was in band 3 last year. He has been taken to band 4. Last year, he paid 21,000. Now he's required to pay 73,000. I remember last year when it was being talked about school paying, and people looked at it. You know, there's a saying that if the deal is too good, think twice. So the deal was so good last year. People said, can the government really sustain itself in the way it has started? And Machogu came out and said, no. The students who joined last year with that 4-band system, they will continue with that up to graduation. So that if there is any change, those who are coming in the new lot will now start paying them. Now it has even been taken, even the list of that, like the kid I've just talked about. His name is Raphael Saya. Now Raphael Saya, last year, he paid 21,000. This year he's required to pay 73,000. And in the university, they just do a very simple thing. You don't pay fees, or you pay part of it, you don't sit for the exam. If you don't sit for the exam, the following year you have to repeat. So that instead of 4 years, you go for 5 years. Not because you are challenged or anything, but it's because the fees are high. Let me ask a question. The fees structure for this year is the same as the fees structure for last year. I know that it is two groups, 23 group and 24 group. And according to the government, the fees is still the same. The only thing that they're having a problem is the funding. Now, you tell somebody who, in the case of Raphael Saya, he wanted to join the military as a cadet officer, but decided, no, let me graduate first, then maybe from there, I can become a military. Okay, I can still think of what. Now, he didn't offer himself for cadetship in the army. And now he's being told that you used to pay 21, you paid 21,000 last year. Now you're paying 73. Has the government succeeded? No, the government has not succeeded, because such students will get out of school. The government will not get that money, and the students will have wasted a year total. So what I want to say here is the presidential delivery unit. And these guys are getting during my time, the cabinet ministers were the second highest people. But nowadays, starting from Uhuru Kenyatta, they have started things that they call cabinet level appointment. Cabinet level appointment. It means these people are very well paid. And what I've noticed, like the story of D refused to be employed by the government. He wanted to be hired as an advisor. What is the difference? He's a lecturer, so he's still doing the job he used to do. But whenever he's called, he's paid allowances. And the allowances are negotiated so that they're negotiated to an extent that at the end of the month, it is even possible for him to get more money than he would have gotten in form of salary. So that is what is happening, and that is what he is doing. I think the president should fire all his PDU people, and the new team of PDU should start with telling the president that it is immoral and sinful. For example, to invite a student to the university, tell him that the household payment will be 7%, and after completing the first year, going to second year, you say that it has been revised up to 30%. And it is not even something that the students were on the opening day. They just enter the nini and then they get a letterhead. I mean, the letters that is the changes. The other thing I said, and which I started, was that the president should now concentrate not on launching new projects, but him in conjunction with the PDU. They should start looking at what he has been doing and he has been launching and increasing that for 2 years. So that that is the first year, yeah? Kutenga. Then this next 2 years becomes kufanya. Then the 5th year is campaign. That, ladies, is from some people say that Ruto's number one what do you call hailer. Well, I'm neither Ruto's hailer nor I know somebody may come up and say, huyu kwani ni nini nilimkula leo mpaka ameanza kucriticize. No. I praise you, I criticize you, not because of what you have done to me or anything. Like any other intelligence officer, I was trained to tell the government what the government needs to hear. So it has nothing to do with me being pro-Ruto or being anti-Ruto. I am the type of a person who tells you what comes out of the two. What comes out of my head and what comes out of my heart. If the two of them say, go west, I go west. If they say go east, I will go east. So if in that way I am seen to be praising, if in that way I'm seen to be criticizing, then that is the fact. But I do believe that Kenya went bad because we worship leaders. Thank you. Have a nice time.